I was standing at the kitchen counter peeling a sticker off a cantaloupe. The afternoon light was slanting through the blinds, catching the dust in the air. And for a moment everything felt still. Quiet in a way that made me feel grateful for the life I'd managed to hold on to. That's when I heard the front door open. I didn't even have to turn around to know it was Brittany. Her heels always clicked like she was walking into a courtroom. Not her mother's house. But it wasn't just her this time. Trevor was with her. That alone made me pause. He rarely showed up unless it was Christmas or Brittany needed someone to lift a box. "Mom," she said, "we need to talk." I laughed. Actually laughed, because I thought, oh God, they're planning something for my birthday. My 65th was coming up next week, and I'd let the idea of a surprise party sneak into my mind. A cake, some of the grandkids, maybe even balloons. It was stupid of me, I see that now. I dried my hands on the dish towel and sat at the table, trying not to smile too hard. "All right," I said. "What's this about?" Trevor sat too, but he didn't look at me. Brittany did. And her expression told me I'd made a mistake. Whatever this was, it wasn't a celebration. "We think it's time you moved into assisted living," she said flatly. No lead up. No hesitation. Just dropped it like a dead thing on the table between us. I blinked. "I'm sorry, what?" "You're not managing like you used to," Trevor added, eyes still on the tile floor. My body went cold. I gripped the table's edge. "I'm fine," I said. "I walk every morning, I cook, I take my medications. I clean." "What are you even talking about?" "You left the oven on twice," Brittany snapped. "You keep watching the same shows and forgetting what day it is. It's time." I stared at her. I knew I wasn't perfect. I got tired sometimes. Who doesn't? But to go from a couple of small mistakes to institutionalizing me? That jump, it wasn't just cruel. It was calculated. And that's when I realized this wasn't a conversation. This was a verdict. Trevor cleared his throat. "We've spoken to Aunt Charlene. She helped us look at some options. It's not fair for us to keep supporting you like this." I froze. Supporting me? I raised Brittany and Jason by myself after Mark died. I sold my wedding ring to cover Jason's trade school tuition. I let Brittany move back in 3 times after her breakups. I paid their car insurance, bought groceries, even picked up clothes for their kids last month. What support? "You want me out," I said quietly. Brittany didn't deny it. She just folded her arms and looked away. "There's a place that takes Medicare," Trevor said quickly. "It's only 20 minutes away. They have bingo nights and communal dining. It's clean." I felt my hands shaking. "You're trying to dump me because you don't want to pay for my birthday dinner." Trevor flinched. Brittany looked at her nails. "It's not just that," she said. "We've been covering a lot, and you don't seem to see it. Honestly, it's like you expect us to owe you forever." I couldn't breathe. They didn't know I had skipped my last 2 doctor visits to help cover new school shoes for Brittany's youngest. They didn't know I was using coupons just to keep the fridge full when they dropped by. They didn't care. I stood up dizzy, my heart pounding. I walked into the living room and stopped cold. The bookshelf looked wrong. Half of it was empty. "Where's my stuff?" I asked, barely able to get the words out. Trevor followed me in, trying to act casual. "We moved a few things to the storage unit. Thought it'd help you start decluttering. It's easier when you don't have to do it all yourself." "You touched Mark's things?" I whispered. They'd taken the framed photo from our wedding. The one that always sat on the mantel. It was gone. "It's all safe," he said. "We just wanted to help. You know, we figured once you were settled in, it wouldn't matter." That's when the truth hit me. Not just what they were doing, but why. This wasn't about concern. This wasn't about safety. It was about clearing space. About convenience. About ownership. They weren't just moving me out. They were erasing me. I stood there in that gutted room, where every missing photo felt like a goodbye I never agreed to. And in that moment, I knew one thing for certain. They thought they could do this because I wouldn't fight back. They were wrong. That night I couldn't sleep. The house felt colder than usual, like it knew it no longer belonged to me. I lay awake staring at the ceiling fan, thinking about the way Brittany had folded her arms when I asked if they were trying to get rid of me, like she was already done with the conversation. Like I was the last thing on her to-do list. At 2 a.m., I got up to get a glass of water, and on the way to the kitchen my phone buzzed on the counter. A group chat. Family updates. It was a thread I usually ignored. Most of the time it was memes or kid photos or reminders about soccer games I was never invited to. But something made me scroll this time. I wish I hadn't. Charlene. If you don't act soon, the house will rot with her in it. Brittany. We'll throw a freedom party when she's finally moved out. Trevor. Still need to get the title transferred. Her signature's shaky anyway. Shouldn't be hard. I stood there frozen, the glass in my hand trembling. They weren't just preparing to move me. They were scheming. Plotting. With timelines. With celebration plans. Like this wasn't my home. But some problem they finally figured out how to solve. My throat tightened. I set the glass down before I dropped it and walked straight to the garage. I didn't even put shoes on. I just needed space. I needed air. It was cold out there, and the light buzzed overhead. The air smelled like cardboard and old memories. I started pulling boxes down. Not really sure what I was looking for. Something real, something that still belonged to me. One box caught my eye, labeled Mark, stuff in his handwriting, faded but familiar. I hadn't touched it since the year he died. Inside was a stack of old magazines, a pocket knife, some fishing photos, and a cruise brochure. 1989, we used to dream about going. We never did. He died before we ever booked it. I stared at the cover, turquoise waves, palm trees, the words, "It's never too late to go." But it wasn't the brochure that saved me. It was what I found underneath. A yellow envelope, brittle with age. Mark's handwriting again. Legal original will. I froze. After he passed, Charlene insisted I update everything. For tax purposes, she said. It's what Mark would have wanted. I was too numb to argue, too lost in grief. I let her help. She said she filed the new version. I never saw it again. But this was the real one. I opened it, my hands shaking, and read the first page. Mark had left everything to me. Sole ownership of the house, the accounts, the retirement fund. No joint trusteeship. No power of attorney. No contingency plans. Charlene wasn't mentioned. Not once. She had lied. Not just manipulated me, but hidden the original document, replaced it with whatever version benefited her, and built a paper trail around my supposed incompetence. I stood up too fast. The edges of my vision blurred. I grabbed a Ziploc bag from the garage shelf and slipped the will inside, then tucked it into the cloth grocery tote I always carried. Just touching it made me feel like I was holding dynamite. Something dangerous. Something powerful. Back inside, I sat at the kitchen table and stared at the Zillow listing Trevor had mentioned. I searched my address and there it was. My house, staged and photographed. My living room, my kitchen, even the garden Mark and I planted together the summer before his diagnosis. The listing caption read, "Fresh potential. Ready for the next chapter." They were selling it. Not planning. Doing. I pressed my fingers to the table, grounding myself. I wasn't angry, not yet. Anger would come later. What I felt now was something colder, sharper. A clarity I hadn't had in years. They thought they were the smart ones. That I was too tired, too old, too alone to fight. They wanted a version of me that cried quietly and packed her bags. Instead, I was going to disappear. No note. No confrontation. No warning. Let them believe I'd been defeated. Because when I came back, it wouldn't be to beg for space in my own house. It would be to take back everything they tried to erase. The morning I left, the house was still dark. I packed only one suitcase, just the essentials. A few changes of clothes, my toothbrush, a photo of Mark, and that Ziploc bag with his original will tucked inside a shoe. I left no notes. No explanations. I told Brittany I was visiting an old friend in Naples for the week. She didn't ask questions. She probably assumed I was finally giving in. Let her. At the Greyhound station in Columbus, I paid cash for a one-way ticket to Miami and deleted my location from the family tracking app Trevor had once installed for my safety. I sat by the window and watched the gray ribbon of highway stretch ahead like a path out of the life I no longer recognized. Halfway there, I got a message on Facebook. Denise Roberts. Still taking that cruise. Same ship. You coming? Patricia Crane. Spa wine and no judgment. Come find us. I smiled so wide my face actually hurt. When I finally stepped onto the cruise ship, the Florida air was thick with salt and citrus. I felt the weight of Ohio slide off me like a wet coat. The terminal was crowded, but I moved through it like a woman with purpose. Denise spotted me first, waving wildly from the balcony, her hair still as big and blonde as it was in '78. Patricia stood beside her in an enormous sun hat, already clutching a margarita. "You look like hell," Denise shouted, grinning. "Perfect timing," Patricia added. We hugged like we were 17 again, sneaking out of civics class. And for the first time in months, maybe years, I felt like Helen again, not mom, not burden, not some loose end everyone was trying to tie up and file away. That evening I slipped into a soft blue cardigan, the one Mark always said made me look calm even when I wasn't, and met the girls for dinner on the upper deck. The sky burned orange and pink over the ocean, and the band was already tuning up near the dance floor. Then I met Margaret Hall. She was sitting alone at a corner table, short silver hair, navy blazer, crossword puzzle in one hand and a pen in the other. Something about her posture said, "Not on vacation, just taking a break from changing the world." I made a passing comment about never knowing a 9-letter word for betrayal until recently. As she looked up, cool as ice, and said, "Treacherous." That was the beginning. Turns out, she was a retired estate attorney from Baltimore, specialized in inheritance disputes. Lost her husband 2 years ago. This cruise was her gift to herself, something she'd promised she'd do when she could finally breathe again. Over dessert I told her just enough. That my kids were trying to put me in a home. That they'd moved my belongings. That my sister cousin Charlene had updated paperwork without me really understanding what I'd signed. She didn't blink. "Let me guess," she said. "They're saying you're confused, forgetful, and emotionally unstable. They've moved things out of your house. Someone with legal experience is pulling strings behind the scenes." My chest tightened. "Exactly." Margaret took a sip of her tea and said, "Then we need to act. Fast." The next morning in Margaret's cabin, quiet, private, precise, I signed a brand new will. She notarized it herself. Denise and Patricia served as witnesses. We filmed a full statement. My name, the date, my intentions, my mental clarity. I laid it all out, what Brittany and Trevor had done, what Charlene had manipulated, why I was cutting them out of my estate not out of revenge but protection. I held that USB drive like it was a shield. That night something shifted. We got dressed up and went to the adults-only lounge. A cover band played Fleetwood Mac songs off-key, but no one cared. I had one glass of wine, then another. By the third I wasn't numb, I was awake. And that's when I met him. Mason, the bartender. Early 40s maybe, black polo shirt, wedding ring, tan line, tired eyes. He wiped down the bar with the kind of rhythm that said he'd done it 1,000 times. But when I ordered a Cabernet, he looked me straight in the eye. "Rough day?" he asked. "Rough decade," I said before I could stop myself. He didn't laugh. He just nodded. "On the house. Just this one." Something about him, quiet, grounded, made me feel seen. "My mom," he said while pouring. "She would have been about your age. Had dementia. My brother bailed. I stayed." "I'm sorry," I said, and meant it. We didn't talk much after that. But I remembered what he said. Pay attention to people who sit quiet in loud rooms. Later, Denise pulled me out onto the dance floor. My knees ached. My feet protested. But I danced. We laughed like prom queens who had outlived the kingdom. We didn't talk about betrayal or paperwork or lies. We just were. And in that moment, on a floating city lit with fake stars and bad music, I realized something. I wasn't invisible anymore. I stepped into my house 2 days after the cruise docked, keys still in hand, heart like a war drum in my chest. But it didn't feel like my home anymore. The air smelled too clean, like lemon-scented chemicals trying to scrub away something human. The floors gleamed cold and showroom perfect. The walls were bare. No family photos, no dusty bookshelf, no quilt draped across the back of the couch. It was like I had never existed. I stood in the entryway for a full minute, letting the silence settle over me like fog. Then I took a step forward. My rocking chair gone. The framed wedding photo that had hung above the fireplace for 30 years gone. The rug Mark and I bought on our 30th anniversary had been rolled up or replaced. In its place was polished laminate, shining like the stage for a lie. I walked into the kitchen. New toaster. New dish soap. My mug, my favorite chipped mug, wasn't in the sink. The dish towel I always left hanging by the stove was gone. Everything I touched felt unfamiliar, staged. Like a stranger had moved in and scrubbed away every trace of me. I opened the fridge. Almond milk. Sparkling water. Nothing I'd ever buy. That's when I pulled out my phone and started recording. One room at a time. One empty drawer after another. I whispered into the mic like it was a witness. This used to hold the wedding china. This was where Mark's letters were. I documented everything. Because this wasn't cleaning. This was a slow burglary. As I turned to head back to the living room, the front door creaked open. Kevin stepped in like he owned the place, holding a measuring tape and a clipboard. He froze the second he saw me. Mom? His voice caught somewhere between panic and guilt. I didn't answer. Just stared at him, my phone still recording. You're back, he said weakly. We thought you were still in Florida. You thought I'd vanish, I replied. You thought I'd go quietly and never come back. He looked over his shoulder, as if hoping Brittany might walk in and take over. I thought you were visiting Denise for the week, he mumbled. And that gave you permission to stage my house for sale? I tilted my head. Without my name on the contract? Without my signature? Kevin shifted. Aunt Charlene said the trust was already active. That you were stepping down. I laughed, bitter and sharp. Is that what she told you? That I'd signed myself out of my own life. He had the nerve to look ashamed. Marissa handled most of the paperwork. I just took the Zillow photos. Well, thank you, I said. Real smooth. Very professional. I walked over to the mantel where my wedding photo had once lived. Tell me where it is, I said. The photo. Mark's quilt. The letters. Everything you didn't throw away. He stammered. It's in storage. Marissa thought clearing the space would make things easier. Easier for who? I snapped. For me to slip away? For you to paint the walls and show buyers the square footage? He stepped forward, now defensive. You're overreacting. Charlene showed us everything. She said you were forgetting things. That you'd left the stove on. That you were endangering yourself. I looked him dead in the eyes. I have a new will, I said quietly. Notarized. Witnessed. Video recorded. His mouth dropped open. It voids every paper Charlene ever touched, I continued. It names her. It names both of you. It's been filed. It's real. You want to talk about confusion? Let's do it, in front of a judge. He stared at me like he'd never seen me before. And that's when the front door opened again. Brittany walked in holding a Starbucks cup and jangling a ring of house keys like she owned the place. She stopped short the second she saw me. What the hell, she said. I turned to her. Calm. Steady. Steel under skin. You're not supposed to be here, she snapped. Clearly, I said. You sold me a one-way ticket out, and thought I'd never come back. As she glanced at Kevin, who was uselessly staring at the floor. We had a plan, she hissed. You agreed to rest. To think about your future. And meanwhile, I said, you deleted every piece of my past. As she stepped forward, eyes blazing. You can't just walk back in here and undo everything. I raised my phone and showed her the screen. Actually, I said, I can. And I already have. She went pale. I looked between them. My children. My betrayers. My witnesses. Call Charlene, I said. Tell her this game is over. And next time we speak. Or I walked toward my bedroom, hoping at least my nightstand hadn't been ransacked. It won't be in this house. Or I turned back just long enough to see their faces, shock, rage, fear, and said, it'll be in court. The courthouse smelled like dust and formality. Like things that didn't change even when lives were falling apart inside its walls. I stood on the courthouse steps in a navy dress and the cardigan Mark always liked on me. Margaret was beside me, sharp as ever in a charcoal suit and low heels, holding a manila folder so thick it looked like it could tip a scale. And it was everything we'd built on that cruise. The notarized will. The witness affidavits. The video of my full statement. Photos of my stripped home. screenshots of the Zillow listing, and the forged documents Charlene had filed. "You ready for this?" Margaret asked, adjusting her glasses. I nodded. "Let's end it." We walked inside together. Kevin was already seated outside the probate courtroom, his tie too loose, eyes rimmed red, hands clasped like a schoolboy waiting to be scolded. Marissa stood stiffly across the hallway in a blazer 2 sizes too bright and shoes that didn't match, clutching a slim folder and fidgeting with her phone. Charlene wasn't there. Coward. When the bailiff called my name, we stepped into the room. It was smaller than I imagined. Clean polished wood. Rows of empty benches. The judge was a woman in her 50s with steel gray glasses and a face that warned against theatrics. Good. Marissa's lawyer stood first. "Your Honor," he began, oozing politeness, "we contend that Mrs. Maddox may not have been of sound mind when these new documents were created. There's concern she was influenced, perhaps even manipulated, by individuals with their own agendas." Margaret didn't flinch. She rose, steady and commanding. "Your Honor, I'd like to submit recorded evidence confirming my client's full cognitive clarity, filmed in her own words in my presence, with 2 legal witnesses and a date-stamped notarial certification. Additionally, I have proof of forged legal filings submitted by a third party without my client's consent, as well as photographic documentation of unauthorized changes to her home and property." The judge raised an eyebrow. "Proceed." Margaret walked to the front, inserted the USB into the court's media system, and hit play. There I was on screen sitting in that cruise cabin. Calm. Clear. No trembling, no confusion. I stated my name, the date, why I was updating my will, how I'd been manipulated, how my children had cleared out my belongings without my consent, how Charlene had convinced me to sign over control when I was grieving and disoriented. The courtroom was silent. "I am doing this," my voice said, "not out of revenge but out of protection for myself and for the life my husband and I built." When the video ended, no one spoke. Kevin couldn't look at me. Marissa rolled her eyes, but her mouth was tight. Then came the documents. Margaret laid them out one by one. The forged trust Charlene submitted. The deed transfer forms listing my name as mentally declining. Screenshots of the Zillow listing with my home staged and photographed. An affidavit from Tina, my neighbor, stating she saw Kevin and Marissa entering the house while I was away. The judge reviewed everything slowly, carefully. Finally, she looked up. "Do you have any rebuttal evidence?" she asked Marissa's lawyer. He stammered. "Just verbal testimony, Your Honor." The judge narrowed her eyes. "Verbal testimony doesn't undo forged legal documents. This is serious." Then she turned to me. "Mrs. Maddox, do you have anything to add before I rule?" I stood, my legs shaking but my voice steady. "My children didn't just try to remove me from my home. They made plans based on my death while I was still breathing. They toasted to my absence. They listed my house for sale like I had already vanished. I'm not here to punish them. I'm here to protect what my husband and I worked for. So no one else has to live through what I did." The judge nodded once. "This court finds the updated will valid and enforceable," she said. "All previous powers of attorney and trust designations are hereby revoked. Control of the estate is returned solely to Mrs. Maddox, effective immediately. Furthermore, this court is referring Charlene Wells for investigation into potential elder fraud and forgery." The gavel struck like thunder. It was done. Kevin's head dropped into his hands. He didn't cry, but he looked like a man who finally realized what he'd lost. Marissa didn't speak. She just turned on her heels and walked out, her heels clicking down the marble like a countdown. Outside the courtroom, I didn't celebrate. I didn't raise my fists or shout. I just stood in the sunlight free. And for the first time in a long, long while, I belonged to myself again. 5 days after the ruling, my house was quiet again, but not the kind of silence that haunted me before. This was a calm I had earned. A silence built on truth, not fear. I hadn't heard from Marissa. Not a text, not a call. And that didn't surprise me. But Kevin sent a letter. Not a message. Not an email. A real letter on cream-colored stationery, folded neatly into an envelope, and left in my mailbox like it was 1984. I found it while pulling weeds by the front walkway, still trying to repair the yard they'd neglected while prepping the house for their fantasy sale. I stood there for a long time with the envelope in my hand, debating whether to throw it away. But I didn't. I sat on the porch steps, opened it and read. It wasn't long. He said he was sorry. That he'd filed for divorce. That he'd been too weak to stand up to Marissa and Charlene when it counted. That watching the video of me in court, hearing my voice, seeing the betrayal on paper, made him realize how far he'd let himself fall. He said he understood if I never wanted to speak to him again. There was a phone number at the bottom. If you ever decide to call, he wrote, I'll answer. I didn't cry. I didn't feel healed. I just felt tired. That kind of betrayal doesn't disappear because someone gets a wave of guilt. But the fact that he wrote it, not typed, not copied, not rehearsed, meant something. 2 days later I called him. Not from my cell phone, but from the payphone outside the diner we used to go to after church back when he was little and believed I could fix anything. He picked up on the second ring, breathless. Hello. It's me, I said. Meet me at the diner. 30 minutes. When I walked in, he was already sitting in the back booth, 2 mugs of coffee waiting. He looked older than I remembered. Grayer. Smaller. Shame will do that to a person. I didn't sit across from him. I slid in beside him like I used to when he was scared of thunderstorms. You look tired, I said. He nodded. Haven't really slept. We sat in silence. Then he opened his mouth to speak. I raised a hand. No speeches. I've heard enough words in court to last me a year. He nodded again. Fair. So, I asked, are you trying to make things right? Or just trying to sleep at night? He looked down. Both. And your kids? I asked. Do they know? They know, he said. Told them what I did. Told them their grandmother isn't going anywhere unless she damn well chooses to. I looked out the window, the same cracked parking lot, the same gas station across the street. But the boy beside me was gone. And the man next to me was someone I didn't fully recognize yet. You want forgiveness? I finally said. That's not something I hand out like coupons. If you want a relationship, you're going to have to build it. From the ground up. No shortcuts. No guilt trips. Just time. And proof. He nodded. I'll take it. Even if it takes the rest of my life. I pushed the untouched coffee toward him and stood up. Then we'll see. That night, I pulled out the binder I had been working on since the court case ended. The Maddox Legacy Fund. What began as an idea on a cruise ship had grown into something real. A non-profit legal defense fund for seniors facing financial manipulation by their own families. The first donation came from the sale of collectibles Mark had tucked away in a storage unit I didn't even know existed. The second came from a small publisher who asked to reprint my courtroom testimony as part of an elder rights campaign. I signed the final paperwork with a firm hand and walked it to the post office myself. I wasn't trying to be noble. I was just tired of watching people like me disappear. One year later, I returned to the same cruise terminal. But this time I wasn't hiding. I wasn't grieving. I wasn't planning revenge. I wasn't trying to survive. I was invited, as the keynote speaker at the National Elder Rights Summit, held on board a ship filled with social workers, lawyers, advocates, and survivors. I wore the same cardigan I had worn in court. Not because I needed armor, but because I had outgrown the need for it. Denise waved from the upper deck balcony, her voice cutting through the noise like a foghorn. Patricia was beside her, in another oversized sun hat and floral scarf, already dancing with someone who claimed he once sang backup for Barry Manilow. When I reached the stage, I looked out at a crowd of 200 faces, some wrinkled, some tired, some fierce, and I said, they treated me like a burden, like an expired item in the back of the fridge. They tried to write me out of my own story, but I didn't vanish. I came back stronger than I've ever been. They didn't clap out of politeness. They clapped because they knew. That night, I stood at the railing of the top deck. staring at the moonlight stretched across the water like a path I had finally claimed as mine. My phone buzzed in my pocket. A message from Kevin. Got a new job. Helping seniors apply for housing assistance. Just thought you should know. I stared at it for a long time. Then I typed back. Good. Stay with it. Nothing more. I didn't need to. I slipped the phone into my coat pocket and leaned forward into the sea breeze. Behind me were people who tried to erase me. Ahead of me was a life I rebuilt. With my own hands in my own name without anyone's permission. And this time I didn't look back.